We have been brought back from the backstage area. Look at that.
The nerdy jokes that you were making before.
Yeah, no, but no one heard them, so it's fine. Hello and welcome to the Friday Feast. But there is a slight change this week because this week we are on YouTube as well. Yes, come on. You know, it is your Friday Feast host Adam here with the Monday Scramble host Kyle. Kyle, are you well? The people can see you and your lovely
Yeah,
TGP hat.
I'm so gassed that my face is now permanently etched into the voice. All the terrible things I've said, all the
Yeah,
hate I've spew against Ricochet in my life now.
poor Ricochet.
Yeah, poor Ricochet, man.
I hope you enjoyed St. Patrick's Day at least. What a guy. It is weird. It is weird looking at each other. Sorry if you're listening on audio, but if you're listening on audio, get on the YouTube. I'm sure we'll get to see everything as well. Kyle, what are we talking about today?
Oh my god, you've done the Monday Scramble. This is what I do. I normally introduce the show and then introduce Corey and make him do it all. Today, as Adam looks confused, hot takes. That's the big thing. In the chat, we've had some diabolical takes. To be quite honest with you, I've been sick to my stomach, but let's share them. You know,
Why not take the WhatsApp group chat onto the World Wide Web? I mean, what could possibly go wrong with that
what
plan?
could go wrong?
So we're going to start off with the take that started all of the horrendous takes, which was my take about Trick Williams. I don't get him. I don't get it. I don't get what he's all. I don't get why people love him so much. The guy's got a lot of charisma, but that's where it ends for me. He is all right in the ring. He is all right on the mic, and has now been made NXT champion. I think the NXT has fallen off a cliff in the last couple of years from who you look at all of the NXT champions of old, your Finn Balor's, your Samoa Joe's, your Big E, Seth Rollins, and now we've got Trick Williams. I'm not about that. I'm not feeling that, Kyle. Do you feel me, sir?
That is a nuclear take. See, I am the worst person to have for this take as well because I don't know NXT anymore. Like that shit ain't something that I know about. But the way that you are bashing new NXT, I feel bad about it. You know, like, okay, look, Trick Williams, I don't know who he is. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm not educated, not cultured enough for it. But Carmelo Hayes, he was pretty freaking good. Gunther, we've had in this new era of NXT. Well, I say that he's also had like a fucking historically long title reign since, but you know, just because we used to have all these old people who were so ready for the main roster as soon as they arrived at NXT, doesn't mean that the new ones that aren't ready are not good. I quite like it. It's a new NXT.
I feel like Gunther though was more NXT UK and like kind of brought that into NXT a little bit as well. And that kind of overlapped the two brands, which allowed people like Pete Dunne to come up as well and, you know, be goated and Tyler Bate, you know, my guys, my big British boys, you know. But look, I don't get Trick Williams and I just think Carmelo Hayes is so much better than him. Like it's not even close.
Yeah, I'm not
Like
gonna argue that.
Mello he's just so good. I'm very happy that he's gone on main roster. I mean, look, there's been some good guys to come out of the NXT. I mean, Bron Breakker as well. I love that guy. What a man. A guy can spear you. I would rather get hit by a car than speared by that man. It's just not what you want. You don't want that in your life, Kyle. You don't need that in your life. Getting speared by that big dude.
No, I've only been speared once in my life, and unfortunately, I'm on call with him. So I've already heard that, and that.
What do you mean? I didn't spear? Did I?
You speared me
in
many
Florida.
times. Well, actually, no, not even. See, when you have to ask, which time? That's the issue.
I speared either you or Corey into the pool when we was in Florida. It actually might have been Corey.
That was me as well.
That was you. Okay, Corey was 5 years old at this point, by the
Yeah.
way. So if it was
It would
Corey,
have
that
been,
would have been
absolutely
horrendous.
diabolical if you'd have spin the 5-year-old into the pool.
Yeah, it was a pretty. He took it well. He took it well. Corey wouldn't
He
have.
took
Corey
it
wouldn't
well.
take it well now.
No, he'd get snapped now.
Oh, bless
But
him.
you know,
Anyway,
I get what you mean. NXT had a lot more star power back in the day, but also I think Trick Williams is just maybe a little bit of a slump. Maybe he's actually really good. Maybe we're just like uncultured. But you know, he's not as good as Carmelo Hayes. He's definitely not as good as Ilya Dragunov.
no.
It's a step down. It feels like, you know.
I'd say the women's division in NXT is good. I think that's kind of been consistently good. Like Tiffany Stratton have been brought up to the main roster. You know, like Cora Jade. You know, Roxanne Perez, Liv Valkyria. I mean, like, they kind of have a really good women's roster. I just don't think it's as consistent through the men. But we're not here to just talk about NXT because we've got some hotter takes. That was just to ease you in. That was an ember. It was a Pokemon move, right? It was an ember. We've got a fire blast coming up. We've got a flamethrower coming. They're all there. They're all there, Kyle. A big fire blast is coming. So I'm going to let you hit us with your hot take. You only had one coming in.
Yeah, you built this up as if this hot take is going to be like nuclear, but I think in 3 or 4 weeks everyone will kind of be thinking this, and that is Cody Rhodes is just so nothing. I'm sorry, there's so little to give a fuck about, and I appreciated people caring about him, especially when The Rock came back. I think that is when most people got on board with Cody Rhodes, because oh my god, The Rock is stealing Cody's spotlight, and then The Rock is just doing the most goated stuff in the world. That was great, but it could have been anyone. You could have. So, Adam, your hottest take you've ever given us with it could have been anyone was Daniel Bryan versus Kofi Kingston. You said it could have been anyone.
Stick by it.
Which I hard disagree. This is my it could have been anyone take. It could have been anyone for Cody or to beat Roman in that situation. And
I also hard disagree. But
is Cody really the guy for the future? Should we really be making that big of a deal? Because I agree that the WWE program has shifted now. It is going to be different from now on with Vince gone, Tripp's in charge. Did it need to be Cody? Is Cody the face of the company? Could it be someone else?
So I think Cody will go on in the next 10 or 15 years to be this generation's version of like John Cena. I don't think and that's not me saying that he's going to be the GOAT, because Cena is the GOAT, right? That's what WWE say. It's kind of what I think as well, to be fair. But I think that just from being at a WWE event recently, and this is no flex. Kyle was going to Money in the Bank, right? This is not a flex to say that I went to a WWE live event in Birmingham, but every single person was wearing a Cody Rhodes t-shirt. Every little kid, when they went to the merch stand, wanted a Cody Rhodes t-shirt. Like, to say that he is over would be such an understatement. He is like, in the eyes of the casual viewer, in the eyes of the fan, and in the eyes of the kids or whatever, he is like the biggest superstar in WWE right now. Like, people like him more than they like Roman, all this sort of stuff. He is so over that I think he's one of the biggest baby faces in wrestling, not just WWE. And I think that WWE looked at it and said, look, Roman's schedule means that we kind of want that title off Roman, because they've got the draft coming up. We want both brands to have a big belt. So we need a champion that's going to be there weekly, etc. They went, who's the biggest babyface in the company? It's Cody. So let's go Cody. I think originally the plan was Punk to win the Rumble. I'd be surprised if that wasn't the original plan. But then they sort of said, yeah, let's have Cody win it. I think the story going up was really good. I think The Rock elevated that feud tenfold. I think The Rock helped it so much. I think The Rock was what was missing the year before. So the only point I'll concede to Kyle here was 2 points. The first point being that me and Kyle might have been the only two people on planet Earth that were really excited about The Rock versus Roman happening. Like, we both said this, and I've said this on podcasts before, that The Rock versus Roman would have been the biggest title match of all time, probably the biggest wrestling match of all time. So we kind of were on the road of going, yeah, I'd actually be really cool with that match happening. And the second point I'll concede to you is that Cody's title reign won't be that good. And it's not really Cody's fault. It's more it's the subject of the face winning it off the heel at Mania. The title reign that comes after that is never that great. The go-to title reigns are usually heels, and the big title wins are usually the face taking it off the unbeatable heel. That's the traditional wrestling thing. And I kind of feel like that's where we are now. I kind of feel like Cody will have a decent title run. I think he was the right person to take it off him. Kyle would probably say Jey Uso, but I think Cody was the right person to win the belt. And I'm glad that it happened. And I think it was the right thing to have done. But I do see the fan base maybe turning on Cody a bit. But he won't care in the same way that John Cena didn't care all them years ago that loads of people turned on him, because Cody will still be the top merch seller in the company. He'll still sell all the kids his shirts to kids and stuff. He's going to be that John Cena type person from those years ago. That's kind of what we've got to get used to. I mean, you accept that point at least, that that's what's probably going to happen.
I actually have a different take on this, and me and Corey were on about it the other day. I think gone are the days where there is going to be this big baby face that will just go on for years and years and years. I actually think maybe after Cena, they realized, yeah, it's good for some merch, but the product in general goes downhill. And I think when Cena was like the unbeatable babyface, it did hinder the product quite a bit. Even though I love Cena now, I think he's the GOAT. Well, he's one of the GOATs. I think we've gone over that now. I think they tried it with Roman. They realized people don't want this big corny babyface anymore. And then they tried it again with Seth. Again, people don't really want the big corny babyface. Cody will have his little run, but it's not going to be the 10, 15 years of like fucking Cena and The Rock and shit. I think we're down to they have a few years as the big babyface, and then we go to the next hot thing.
I think that wrestling's quite reactive at the minute, though. I think it's quite reactionary. It's like there's guys like LA Knight and stuff where everybody wants LA Knight to be world champion and all that kind of thing. I think LA Knight's like will have his. I don't want to say this in a really harsh way because I do quite like him, but I think he'll have that kind of rub that everybody loves him, everybody wants him to be this. WWE won't do it; they won't pull the trigger on him, and he'll just fade away. And I don't think that maybe that's his fault, because I think he's probably one of the best talkers in the WWE. But I just think that he's just kind of hot right now. I don't feel like that about Cody. I just think that even if the crowd to a point turn on him, I do think it'd be like, Roman was never over as a face. He never got over really. Whereas Cody is very over now. So I think Cody and Roman are different kind of examples. I think Cody might be one of those forever baby faces in WWE. The only difference between Cody and Cena is that Cena came into the business really young. Cody did, but obviously I'm talking Cody right now, has come back to WWE in his late 30s. So I think Cody probably has a 5 or 10 year run now with WWE where he is the main baby face. He's the main guy. He picks up world titles and stuff. And that's kind of what happens with him. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And you'll see on our TikTok and stuff, I'm the biggest Cody fanboy there is, right? And I really like him. And I just think that he will have an amazing run in the WWE now, which is what he deserved in the first place. But he went and got himself over in other companies and stuff. I've got no issue with that. But where he is now, I think he's going to be the biggest babyface in the company for years and years to come. So I can't agree with your point, I'm afraid. But it's not a hot take if I just agree with you, is it? Right? It's a mild take. It's a Korma level take, right? We need some Joe phrases up in here, right? And I'm going to bring one that Robbie said in the group, Kyle. I said, and this is my hot take that I don't think is that hot. I said that Becky Lynch is the GOAT. I think she's the best women's wrestler of all time. And before anyone comes at me with like, oh, Lita, Trish, all that, I just can't have that debate with you. If you were going to come with me like, oh, like Charlotte Flair with all the titles that she won and all that, maybe. In fact, maybe Lita, but I wouldn't say Trish. But I think it's Becky. I mean, Becky's a GOAT. And Robbie said that he thinks that Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley are both better than Becky Lynch. So, Kyle, I need your opinion on this because I was going to be swinging for that boy earlier in the group chat.
Yeah, you messaged me privately to be like, what is this boy on? And look, I kind of get what he's saying in some aspects. Because it really depends on what do you consider someone being the GOAT. Like, what makes the GOAT the GOAT? For me, the GOAT is just how many amazing storylines, how consistent have they been in those? Like, Roman, for example. Roman, to me, genuinely, is the GOAT. And he had a bad run at the start.
Spicy.
Well, I say the start of his singles. But Roman, in wrestling, out of wrestling, just has the best storyline. It actually, like, my heart genuinely feels warm to know that this guy has overcome so much and proved to everyone that it was not his fault that he was this corny ass babyface. He can perform amazingly, and that's when we look. Becky had a great run, and she performed that role that she had, and made it her own, and that's great. But I also think Rhea Ripley has no right to be as good as she is right now, and it is like I don't know how she's not just the best of the women's side of things. She's just kind of the best of most of it. I enjoy every single time I see her on screen. And it's a shame that she's injured now. But I don't know, if Rhea has any form of consistency for the next few years, I think Rhea could be the GOAT.
I think right now that's a wild take to say that she is, though, over Becky. Like, Becky Lynch is someone that's main evented WrestleMania when it was a one-night Mania. So I'm having none of this slander of the
So
Usos.
did Ronda, though.
Yeah,
Ronda
I know. I know, but like when people, the Usos versus Kevin Owens, so they main evented Mania. They didn't, because they didn't go on last on the second night. I don't think you main evented Mania if you main evented night one, and that's not a hot take for me. That's just fact. Like, the main event is the Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes is the main event of Mania this year. I don't think they main evented both nights, and I know WWE want to spin it that way. I don't accept that. So Becky Lynch did something that they wouldn't. They trust. They had Seth Rollins versus Brock Lesnar on that card. They had Kofi versus Daniel Bryan when that feud was hot and people loved it, even though it could have been anyone.
Anyone.
You had Batista and Triple H on that card, which was, I don't want to talk about it, but Batista's my favorite wrestler when I was a kid, so I don't like to talk about it. But that card, you had so many matches on that card, and they still went the women's main event. That is the main event, all right? I don't think they just did it for the gimmick of, let's have the first women's main event. I don't think it was just that. I think that Becky was one of the most overstars in the company at the time. And I think that Ronda maybe had something to do with it. Obviously, she's a massive superstar outside of WWE. But for me, Becky's done things that no other women will. And if you said to me, Kyle, if your opinion was, I think Charlotte Flair's the GOAT, I'd be fine with that. I'd accept that opinion. She's won the title so many times. She's so good in the ring. She's good on the mic. I don't think there's anything that she's bad at as a person, other than the fact that the crowd don't like her that much, other than the fact that she was never as over with the fans as much as Becky was. So for me, it's definitely Becky. Rhea Ripley is amazing. Rhea Ripley is one of the biggest stars in wrestling at the minute. Male, female, trans, whatever it might be. She is one of the biggest superstars in wrestling right now. There's no dispute. There's no argument for me whatsoever. And I really, really like her. To the point where I'd go and buy a Rhea Ripley shirt. I'd go tweet about how great she is. But she just isn't better than Becky, right? Like, as a longevity thing, all the titles she's won, all the things she's achieved, she's still 27 years old, Rhea Ripley. She has so long to go in wrestling yet. To say that she's better than Becky Lynch has ever been now, I think is really premature, and it's proper recency bias. We don't know whether she's going to carry this run on for the rest of her career. She probably will, but we don't know that yet. So I think it's way too early. And I like how you didn't even mention Bianca there because you weren't even entertaining that Bianca's better than Becky Lynch.
No, because Bianca she's not the character for us. I think she's great. I think she does her role the best she can. But to me, she's like Cody. It's the corny baby face that I don't know. It's not for me. It's for the merch sales. It's for the kids, and she did that well. So like, fair enough to her. Becky luckily had a way more interesting character though.
I think that Becky organically created her character though. Originally, when she first got over, she did that herself.
You could say Nia Jax created the Becky character.
Let's not do this.
Nia Jax is the goat.
See, Robbie put this in our chat. He was like, she only got over because she broke her nose. She was so over before that happened. And then that happened. All that did was just elevate it even further. It's not like she wasn't over and she needed to get punched in the face to be over. That is a stupid opinion. And I would expect nothing else from Robbie because bro has not got good opinions. He thinks dead ass that DIY should have won both tag titles at Mania. And then last week on Raw, he says that DIY should win the tag titles. In the first defense, they should win them. This is not a man that you take seriously when he gives you an opinion.
He has got a smooth brain. No wrinkles in it.
Yeah, Robbie is not that guy. Just before we end our first YouTube video here, Kyle, I'm going to tell you a funny story from the WWE Live event the other night. So I'm sat there, and this girl sat next to me. She's probably about 8 or 9, right? She's wearing like a Rhea Ripley shirt. And like every time one of the Judgment Day members comes out, she goes crazy. Like she loves it. She's like one of the only ones. Like JD McDonough comes out and she's on her feet, like going mad. No one else really cares, right? And then when Becky Lynch comes out, everyone goes mad. Everyone's good. And she stands up and starts like booing, like, "Bro, Becky, like she's like 8, 9 years old. Becky, you shit. And I'm just sat there like, bro, what? And then like
classic British fans.
And then Becky comes up on the rope to sort of say hi to our section. She gives it the old 2 middle fingers like Stone Cold, like, fuck you, Becky. I'm like, Jesus Christ. So yeah, that kid, if that kid was on the pod today, they'd agree with Robbie that Rhea Ripley's the GOAT. But I thought I'd share that with you because I didn't know what to do. But Robbie, this is your GOAT, bro. This is your GOAT. And I'm pointing to my Becky Lynch t-shirt if you're listening to the audio of this. Robbie, you're wrong, you're stupid, and you're wrong again. I just had to direct that right to the camera because he's really rattled me this morning.
Yeah, you've been really tilted by that boy.
Yeah, I can't deal with that guy today. Kyle, is there anything else you want to add before we sign off here?
You know, I actually had one last hot take, but I think we're actually at a good point. Well, I can share it.
Drop a quick hot take. You know, just a quick one in there.
It's about basically all the hot takes we've had. And my hot take is WrestleMania main events don't mean shit. And the actual important, maybe I'm WWE pilled. The actual important parts are just the moments. That's all I care about. That's all anyone remembers. If it's in the main event, that's great. But a main event doesn't instantly make it interesting or better. For me, the best moments in wrestling aren't always the main events. Talk about Becky and why she is kind of the GOAT. Everyone who has watched wrestling for more than like a few years remembers her with the broken nose in the crowd. She was certifiably the GOAT at that point, you know? She was a bad man. And that like those are the moments that you care about. I think her Mania main event was quite shit. And it wasn't her fault.
By Spice.
Ronda wasn't very good. Didn't Ronda like get rolled up and kicked out basically anyway?
Yeah, she kind of botched the finish, Ronda did.
Yeah. Because we were there. And I can remember, and my take on the situation was that was not the moment of the night. And I remember much more Kofi versus Bryan.
Kofi was the moment of the night, 100%. And that's me as a big Becky Lynch fan. Kofi was the moment of the night. Like, there's a video of me, Kyle, and Corey celebrating at Mania when Kofi won. Right? We went crazy. It was a great moment. I think the main event suffered that night as well because the event was so fucking long.
Yeah,
wasn't that
the last full?
That was the last full one night Mania, and I think the reason was because of that, because it was so fucking long. It was insane.
It was miserable.
Like we got to the main event, and I love Becky Lynch, so I was dead excited. But Kyle and Corey were just like, I want to go home, bro. I just want to go home and get in bed. Like, this is just so long. Like, and then like we spent like 3.5 hours after the event before we actually managed to get out and get home. But it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
In the piss
But
and
you know,
rain.
to back up the hot take, let's look at this last Mania. You know, like the main event was great, but
Yeah.
the best thing about this last Mania was every single match nearly had one of those moments that you think about afterwards. And I think about most of the last Mania we've had nearly every day because there were so many just absolutely amazing moments. And you know what? It's when it dawned on me that WWE have been right all this time. WrestleMania moment is a corny thing to say, but that is the important part of WrestleMania. And that's what makes it the WrestleMania events actually good. It doesn't matter if it's a main event or not. It's just if it's a moment, it's a moment.
I think, to be honest, as well, and this is genuinely what we're going to leave you on here, because I don't think this is even a hot take. I think WrestleMania 40 was the best for WrestleMania of all time. I don't even think that's a crazy take. I think it was. The nostalgia merchants will still say 17, but it just wasn't. I'm sorry, this was the best Mania of all time, and I'll die on that sword.
Yeah, that is a hot take that we can both agree on.
Look at that. A bit of agreement from the Friday Feast and the Monday Scramble host right at the end there. Guys, thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for listening, letting us be in your face and in your ears all at once. You lucky, lucky people. Kyle, we can wave. We can wave goodbye to the
Oh my God, we can.
Are you going to wave? Bye. Bye.
This man.